All right, we need to sew this in between the openings of the cast-on side of our droplet. The first thing I'm going to do is bury the ends. I'm going to do that just by sliding my needle and yarn back through the side of the spirals here where we were always had like the purl 2 stitches, the only solid side basically. I'm just going to slide that along there a little bit. I'll do the same thing with the other side. Trim those, and we are ready to roll. A quick note before we start. I just wanted to show you that a lot of people worry about joggless joins and things like that. So here is where my beginning of round was for the color change. And right here is where the color change should be and the jog should be, but you can see that there really isn't much of one, and all I've done is tie these two ends together really tightly and then have a look at the front, see what I like. If it looks like it's joggless, then I do the second, like I tie once, have a look, and if it's tight enough, then I go over here and I tie it a second time, so just a plain old double knot, and then I leave these untrimmed because it's just stuffing you've already paid for. All right, so we have our opening, and we're going to need to flip this inside out. This will want to roll, so make sure you do block this or steam it so that it really wants to be as flat as it will be given its stockinette fabric. We've got our cast on tail here, which we are going to use to sew this shut. And then you need to pick which side you like better. So there is sort of the side with the knitting stitches, and then there's the side where you will mostly see the purls of the cast on and the bind off. So pick which one you like best. I personally like this one with the knit stitches because the little spirals sort of come forward, whereas here they're kind of going away. So I'm going to have this side and I'm going to face it towards the purl stitches. So I'm going to have a look in here. Okay, so this half of my opening has the purl stitches. So that is the side where the eyes are going to be. So I am going to take this side and face it towards those. And let's just double check that I am correct in doing that. So we'll put those in, sort of sandwich things up here. And then if I were to go like this and have a look from the purl side, so there are my purl bumps. Yeah, the sprouts are going towards the purl side, so this will be the front. That's what I want. Flip this back out. And now do a really good job of lining up this cast on edge for sewing. So the trick is to make sure that you don't have too much curl here and that you're stitching below that. Otherwise, I found on one of mine, this line actually ended up showing on the front. If you look here, I didn't get my sandwich quite right the whole way through, and so this little line here shows sort of like a quarter of the cast on edge there is showing, so we need to make sure we're not doing that. All right, so once we've got our cast on kind of sandwiched up there, I'm just going to flip mine around because I am right-handed, and the yarn will be easier for me if it's coming from that side, if I stitch sort of across from right back to left. And yes, it would be much easier if I had put my yarn on the yarn needle before starting the sandwich. So all we need to do is make sure we're going through this side of the cast on, the spirals, and then this side of the cast on. So I'm just going to go through, and again, I'm making sure that I'm going down low enough that I'm not going to get part of that cast on. Maybe I'll go even a little lower. And I'm just, there we go. And then I'm going to move over about a stitch and go down and across, over about a stitch, through all 3 layers. And so it's a nice simple sewing job that we're just going to do. Just passing back and forth all 3 layers low enough that things are looking good. I suggest you stop occasionally and check to see that you've got everything the way you want it. And before you weave in this end, just make absolutely sure that you haven't done like I did that one time and accidentally showed some of your insides to the outsides. Have a quick look. That looks good there. Everything is where I want it there. Fantastic. Let those spirals get all twisted up. As I write in the pattern, if you want them to be more spirally, just kind of twist them back into shape. If you give them a little bit of a spritz with some water and let them dry, they'll be pretty good if you're struggling a little bit. The key is to have the cast on looser and the bind off tighter. You need the tension difference to create the lack of mobility on the bind off forces the generosity of the cast on to twist around it. And there we go.